My name is Katie Nelson. I'm the Director of Legislative Affairs for the Indiana State Department of Agriculture, and I appreciate the opportunity to testify this afternoon. Today I want to provide a brief overview of ISDA as a department and also our soils division is already doing to promote both soil conservation and carbon sequestration. And I actually have a PowerPoint if it's possible to pull that up. Thank you, and you can go ahead and move to the next slide, please. Thank you. So, a quick reminder of what ISDA's mission is, which is to support growth in Indiana agriculture by serving as an advocate at the local federal level, defining and nurturing economic growth and opportunity in the food and fiber sectors, and enhancing stewardship of natural resources on agricultural land. Next slide, please. So we are housed under the Lieutenant Governor's Office and have 5 divisions: Economic Development, FFA, Indiana Grain Buyers, Public Affairs, and Soil Conservation. And it's important to note that 4 of these 5 divisions are non-regulatory, so our only regulatory function in our department is Indiana Grain Buyers. We have about 60 people on staff with us, and most of those are in the field and field offices. We have about 20 folks in our central office here downtown. Next slide, please. So I want to emphasize our soils division today, and they have been tasked with increasing agricultural economic benefits by assisting Indiana's farmers in the application of advanced agronomic technologies while improving upon Indiana's soil health and water quality. And they do this in a number of ways. Some of those ways are offering technical assistance on the farm with those practices, but also helping farmers navigate the cost-sharing programs that are out there.
Don't let me forget.
Yeah, that's right. And finally, working alongside partners to support the voluntary adoption of conservation practices. And so all of their work really ties into what we're talking about today, which is carbon sequestration. Next slide, please. And you've already heard a lot about what carbon sequestration means, how we can already naturally store carbon in soil. And we know that we can capture additional carbon and hold it for longer if we work with our farmers to adopt a systems-based approach. And so not just one practice, but a multitude of practices on the farm and on many farms. So here in Indiana, that includes encouraging farmers to adopt long-term continuous no-till practices with the help of cover crops, nutrient management, precision farming technology, and conservation buffers. And we know that jumping from a conventional farm to a completely no-till operation is really tough. And so we try to work with farmers on conservation tillage. Next slide, please. And conservation tillage just is a wide variety of techniques where we can intentionally maintain residue on the soil surface after planting. And so some numbers for you. In 2019, 71% of Indiana's corn crop and 76% of our soybean acres were no-till or strip-till, which really allows the soil to be undisturbed and hold more of its nutrients. Another piece of this puzzle, another piece to the systems approach is working with farmers to increase levels of soil organic matter, and that can happen through 4R nutrient stewardship through using manure and other fertilizers and cover crops. And so when we talk to farmers about the 4Rs, the 4R nutrient stewardship really means using the right fertilizer source at the right rate, at the right time, and in the right place. And we always emphasize that. And precision technology has come a long way in being a good companion for farmers to improve their fertilizer efficiency by using GPS tracking. It's very fascinating. Next slide, please. So cover crops are another piece to this. And there's research that shows what the mean annual soil organic carbon sequestration value is. And another data point real quick is that other than corn and soybeans, cover crops were planted on more acres than any other crop in Indiana, which is very interesting. Indiana farmers planted a total of 950,000 acres of cover crops in 2019. And so if we run the math here with what research shows how much carbon is sequestered by cover crops and then what EPA estimates a typical passenger vehicle would emit, we've run those numbers, and the carbon sequestered from 2019 cover crops is equivalent to the annual emissions of 31,700 vehicles, which is interesting. So next slide, please. And finally, our soils division also works with farmers on the Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program, or CREP. You might be familiar with that. It's a federal state program that offers financial incentives for farmers to voluntarily So a participant would remove their less productive ground and remove that from their rotation and convert it maybe to native grasses or trees or other vegetation. There's a lot of different approved practices that you can see on your screen, and those include grasses and hardwood tree planting and wildlife habitat. And currently there are 26,250 acres enrolled in 5 different counties across the state. And we continue to see more and more farmers interested in programs like CREP, interested in technical assistance for cover crops and other programs. And I think this is really encouraging because in order to effectively capture and store carbon, we need to focus on all types of practices for a systems-based approach. And with that, next slide, I'll thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Katie. Questions from committee? I don't see any, Katie. Thank you very much.
Thank you.